What is going on, RP fam? Thank you so very much for joining me for another video. I have running back rankings. In this one, I'm going over the top 32 options at the position to help get you all the information you need to crush your opponents and go out and get a big dub in week 14. The playoffs are almost here. We need every win we can get, so we want to get all the information to make the best decisions possible. The playoffs are upon us. Every decision we make is critical, and I'm here to try to help you in your journey to get a championship. Make sure you also keep an eye out for my shorts that I do on Saturdays. I update all of these rankings based on the information we get during the middle of the week. So if you got 5 minutes on Saturday, you can check all of those out. I do them for every single position to help give you an idea of what I am thinking with all the new information we get. If you find yourself halfway through the video enjoying the content, drop a like for me. That helps me out a ton. And if you have not done it yet, what the heck are we doing here? Get on it and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers. You can help us get there by clicking that button. And with that out of the way, let's hop into week 14's running back rankings. My main man, Austin, pound for pound, Ekeler is in at number 1. He underwhelmed in a great matchup last week against the Raiders, but he is not going to come up short in back-to-back games with the Chargers desperate for a win. Miami has stifled rushers up front, so I think is the passing game work that once again brings the big-time production. Derrick Henry is my second ranked back. He has looked human in the last 2 weeks since his 28 carry day against Green Bay, but I think that changes in this smash matchup with the Jags. They allow over 21 points a game to rushers. After just 11 carries last week, the King is going to be fresh and ready to deliver punishment. Josh Jacobs is my third ranked dude. He has continued his rampage with his second straight finish in the top 3, bad calf and all. His passing game work has vanished. That's a little concerning, and he's going to need that to return against a Rams team that's surrendering 4 yards per carry this year, which is 4th best in the league. I think one way or another, Jacobs continues his torrid stretch. In at 4 is Christian McCaffrey, who finally showcased some elite upside again after middling performances in his prior 3. His 80 yards receiving were his most since back in week 6, and his 10 targets were the second most he's had all season long. I expect to see plenty of dump offs and screens schemed up for him in an attempt to help ease Brock Purdy in. I think CMC capitalizes on all of the looks. My last running back in this tier is Nick Chubb, who will be called upon a ton to help ease the pressure off of Deshaun Watson, and I think he answers that call after a fairly quiet game against Houston. Chubb has not had back-to-back duds all season long, and he is not about to start now. Dalvin Cook is at the top of tier number 2. He looked solid against a really tough Jets defense last week, and he gets a reprieve here against the Lions. Cook has big day written all over him after going for 96 yards and a score against this team in week number 3. At 7, I have Saquon Barkley. He got back into the top 10 after a 2-week absence, but he did not look pretty doing it with just 81 total yards on 23 touches against the Commanders. I think he sees a massive workload here against the Eagles as New York tries to keep the ball away from that offense, so I am buying Barkley's volume. Rhamondre Stevenson is next. He has gotten 3 straight games now without an RB1 finish, which is his longest drought of the season. Arizona is allowing 4.8 yards per carry over their last 3. That is 7th most in the league, and you cannot tell me that Stevens' season is not going to take advantage of that. Next up is Tony Pollard at 9. He keeps on dominating. He posted his 4th top 7 finish in his last 5 weeks against Indy. I don't think the Texans have a chance at slowing him down. It'll all come down to the to see just how high he finishes, but he has overall RB1 potential in this game. To round out my top 10, I have Joe Mixon, who should be good to go against the Browns this week, for real this time. If he is good to go, he's got massive upside with fresh legs going against a horrible Cleveland front. The Browns have surrendered the 3rd most rushing scores on the season and the 2nd most points to backs overall. Boom goes the dynamite. To the top of tier number 3, I have Miles Sanders, who got a break from the big-time usage against a really good Titans D-line last week, so he should see his workload return against a much more forgiving line in New York. Sanders is riskier week to week than owners would like because Philly has so many weapons to utilize, but he's got to be locked into lineups because he's a candidate to score every single week. The last RB1 I have in week number 14 is Ezekiel Elliott, and am I crazy for putting 2 Cowboys in the top 12? Probably. However, it did happen last week, and there's no reason to think with this matchup they can't do it again. To tier 4, it is Travis Etienne. He could not get much going last week because the Jags fell behind early and had to abandon the run. I think he's going to be able to avoid a similar fate here though. The volume should be enough even if things get ugly, and Etienne is always a threat to break a big one. At 14, I have Isiah Pacheco. He has been a top 20 back in 3 straight games now. He's averaged 18 touches per in those games. Whoever the defense is, that many looks in this offense is going to see success more often than not, so I am not sweating the Broncos. Pacheco's got a decent shot to score for his 3rd straight game as well. My 15th ranked running back is Dameon Pierce. He finally got a decent game script after seeing just 15 carries in his previous 2 games, but he couldn't quite capitalize on it with just 73 yards on his 18 carries. Owners will take his top 20 finish after what they saw previously and hope to keep the momentum here against a savage Cowboys front. Pierce once again has a wide range of outcomes here with a lot more risk than a typical top 15 play. Foreman is up next. He's almost guaranteed 20 plus carries as the Panthers try to make Sam Darnold throw it as little as possible. Seattle gives up over 25 points a game to the position on the year, and they've allowed the 4th most rushing scores over the last 3. If Carolina keeps it close, Foreman could easily get into the top 10. Najee Harris is at the top of tier number 5. He's looked like another player since the Steelers had their bye, but he will find room at a premium against the Ravens. Baltimore has allowed just 2.5 yards per carry over their last 3. That is 3rd best in the NFL. So you are hoping that he either falls in the end zone or finds some passing work that has been absent since back in week 11. Jeff Wilson Jr. saw just 1 carry last week as the Dolphins got behind early, but I would not read too much into that performance. He has a great opportunity to bounce back here against a Chargers team that's allowing top 3 numbers in both yards per rush and fantasy points to the position. And just like Foreman, Wilson has legit top 10 upside. At 19 and 20 are the Lion brothers, Jamaal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Each of these guys are fine options against a bottom 10 Vikings run D. The lean was notably in Swifty's favor last week for the first time in forever, so it's going to be really interesting to see where the touches split here. They probably share a lot of the work, so the ceiling is capped, but both have touchdown upside I would want in my lineup. James Conner headlines tier number 6. He had been on a hot streak prior to the bye with 2 top 6 finishes in his last 3 games, but I think he runs into a wall here against the Patriots. New England has dominated backs all year long. They give up the 3rd fewest points to rushers. He remains a low-end RB2 option due to the volume. Kenneth Walker is going to be ranked. For now, I have him at 22, but he is dealing with a foot strain and is probably shaky at best to go against the Panthers. Make sure you keep an eye on reports. Check back in on Saturday for my updated rankings because we should know a lot more about his situation by then. Rachaad White is in at 23. He more or less split the workload with Lenny against the Saints, but it was White who found the end zone for the game-winning score with 3 seconds left. He is the more explosive back in the passing game, and that is going to be heavily utilized against San Francisco. Zonovan Knight is the last RB2 that I have in week 14. He was able to post a solid outing against the Vikings. He turned 20 touches into 118 total yards. With Michael Carter still dealing with an injury, this looks like Knight's backfield for at least 1 more game. The matchup with the Bills is far from ideal, but the usage here means Zonovan is a solid volume play. At 25 and 26, I have James Cook and then Devin Singletary. I am leaning on Cook if you are starting a Bills back this week, as the rookie saw 1 more carry and also had 4 more targets than Singletary did. I think the Bills try to lean on the run a little bit more, take some pressure off of Josh Allen against this Jets secondary, so I think the volume is enough for each of these guys to be decent flex plays. At the top of tier 8 is Cam Akers, who does not have much. if any, support around him, but the Raiders are allowing the 6th most points to rushers this season, so they will help pick up the slack for him. The floor is terribly low in this dumpster fire offense, but Akers could post decent numbers if things break right. In at 28 is Latavius Murray, who continues to post top 30 outings, giving a safe floor this low in my rankings. He usually does not bring much of a ceiling with him, but Kansas City has been generous to backs, so you could do worse if you're looking for an 8 to 10 point lock. At 29 is Leonard Fournette. He was able to turn 16 touches into 81 yards of total offense against a solid Saints defense, which is an extremely positive sign in his return from injury. However, I do not love his chances at production against the 49ers. The usage just allows him to stay relevant. To 30, it is Raheem Mostert, who is worth a desperate gamble because he could see a decent amount of work in a great matchup. There really is no telling how many touches he's going to get though, so the risk is fairly high. My 31st ranked back is Kareem Hunt, who posted his best finish of the season since back in week 5, and that is great news because it coincides with Deshaun Watson's first start. For now, owners will take this positive sign and hope for more, but I wouldn't be willing to roll Hunt out unless my team had hit threat level midnight. At 32, and the last running back I'm looking at in week 14 is Gus Edwards. He is probably the Ravens back that you want if you're forced to start one, but I would not be doing it with much confidence. He turned 6 carries into just 12 yards last week, and the Steelers have turned a corner in stopping the run as of late, so start him at your own risk. A couple of backs that just missed the cut include Derek McKinnon, Ty Johnson, Samaje Perine, depending on what happens with Joe Mixon, and the DJ Dallas Tony Jones Jr. combo against Carolina. And with that, I will end today's video. I really hope the information was valuable to you. Drop your questions and your comments down below. I love the engagement. It is one of the main reasons I do these. A huge shout out to all of my current subscribers. Thank you guys so very much for all of the support. I could not and would not do this without you. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and good luck in week 14. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.